Despite all the turmoil, Cass spent most of the day trying to solve what was now the world's biggest mystery. Who had really murdered all the Island 2 leaders? Was it Saps or was it Flux? See, earlier at the Blue Cross meeting, members of the Cass Coalition were listening carefully.
Covenant was propagating anti-Island 2 propaganda, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, we didn't agree with that. Island 1 never had beef with you guys. It was really just a covenant.
They can see that Island 1 is gearing up to invade us. Then at least they'll know I tried to warn them when Island 1 comes and kills us all.
But the Covenant was going to invade us, right?
Honestly, probably not. I think they were just trying to scare you guys.
Flux had fully believed that Island 1 was going to invade and even yelled at the other leaders for doing nothing, which made Cass think, what if that's the reason he killed them? Besides, what would be Saps' motive? There wasn't even a motive alleged during his trial, yet he was still found guilty. In fact, thinking back, the trial itself was suspiciously short, and the judge made a decision very quickly. Well, on day 9, one of Cass's citizens was scouting the Commonwealth and figured out why. Flux had bribed the judge to ensure Saps was found guilty. When Cass discovered this, she immediately called for a meeting with local leaders.
It's been Flux this whole time. I'm so mad. He needs to die.
I never thought I'd say this, but you have my permission to invade Luminara.
Okay, I'll tell my guys to prepare for battle.
No, there won't be a battle. We go in, we take him out, we leave. Got it?
Sounds good. See?
All right, first thing tomorrow.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome. We gather here today because, well, we never got the opportunity to properly mourn our previous leader, 3 Below.
What's going on here?
He was more than just a Luminaran, he was a friend. And I'm very much excited that we can continue his legacy and complete the bridge which he would have wanted.
All right, let's go.
And so, the Cass Coalition set off on their mission to kill Flux once and for all. On the way, Cass stopped at Aperion to rally their people.
We've found the person responsible for the multiple leader assassinations, including the assassination of your own president. Are we ready to fight for Luminara and for justice?
The plan was simple. Aperion would invade Luminara from the south, while the Cass Coalition approaches from the sea so that Flux can't escape.
And I just,
Oh, they're here! They're here! Flux is running.
surrender!
They're after him.
Surrender, Flux! I don't want to do this!
Oh!
Okay, wait.
Wait, surrender!
Okay, surrender. I'm not moving.
Actually, stop.
Flux was under arrest, killing Jag, Alki, members of Tricolor, and leader of Commonwealth.
This is an outrage!
And attempting my assassination.
Hey, stop!
Flux had stopped and surrendered, but there was a bit of confusion.
He's entitled to a fair trial.
Wait, I thought it was
He's our president! Someone pull up the...
Going in, Cass had been under the impression that the people of Luminara wanted Flux to be overthrown, when in reality, most Luminarans knew nothing about his crimes.
You are speaking to a mass murderer right now. Don't let him get through the crowds, guys. Where's Legacy? Luminarans, do you want this man alive?
entitled to a fair trial.
Oh, come on.
All of a sudden, Cass wasn't sure about what to do. Until... Oh, he's running. He's running. Flux had killed 5 people using a secret trap he had built the day before. This bought him just enough time to escape.
Can you block up behind?
That said, Flux knew there'd be a lot of people after him, so when he dug to the surface, he ran straight to the ocean and fled Island 2. Still, Cass and Aperion sent out hit squads to try and hunt Flux down, while Legacy directed the citizens of Luminara to evacuate.
I gotta move all of these people over to the concave storage queue because no one is safe in Luminara at the moment.
Holy. Like that, Legacy had taken over as leader of Luminara. Cass and Aperion were down 5 citizens, and Flux had gotten away with everything once again. Or so he thought.
I am so confused on what's happening right
Oh my god!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Oh my god.
Oh my god!
When Flux's trap went off, the rest of the world had a lot of questions.
Was that in Luminara?
That was Flux?
Wait, Flux killed those people?
Yeah.
On day 10, word began to spread about what had happened.
That was Flux's trap? Yeah, Flux built that trap.
Which made people think, was Flux behind the murders of the Island 2 leaders after all?
Dude, I think Flux was behind everything. Saps was right.
Suddenly, the world realized that Saps had been telling the truth. Sap, how do you feel?
Dude, finally, I'm so happy.
For the first time since he had gone into hiding, Saps had been vindicated, proven innocent, and the world was finally on his side. And now, instead of hunting for Saps, all of Island 2 was determined to find Flux.
Bro, this is what happens when people want trials.
We should have just started killing him. I don't know why anyone stopped in the first place.
I would have been the bad guy if I killed him right then and there with everyone yelling, trial, trial.
But the search for Flux didn't take long.
Someone just saw Flux going up the volcano.
Oh, you're kidding.
Layer by layer, I didn't know narrowness in my childhood.
Queen Seneca had offered Flux refuge at Infernus under the condition that he and his crew build deadly traps all around the volcano perimeter so that nobody can break in. But the rest of the world was unfazed.
Yeah, they're gonna pay for what they did.
Yep.
On day 10, all of Island 2 joined the Tricolor West Helm Alliance and declared war against Infernus.
Alright, today we infiltrate the volcano for Spider and for Owo. And I just want to say, if I die today, I love you all. We love you. Glory to West Helm. Look, greetings.
He was my brother. He was everyone's brother. And they took him from us. They took him.
Flux got away with murdering so many of our people and our leaders. Today, we get justice for our entire island.
Okay, vamos, amigos, vamos. All right, everyone in.
I'll meet you at the Coliseum.
Let's go, let's go.
Come on. All right, let's go, everyone.
A few days ago, my home was turned into a death trap behind my back. I was framed and then forced to go through a rigged trial.
Guilty on all counts.
Yes! A few days ago, every single person in the world wanted me dead. But today, you all know the truth about who really killed our leaders and our friends. Today, we walk ahead, we storm the volcano, and we get justice!
Thank you, Saps. Alright, everyone, listen up. There's a lot of things to watch out for. There's gonna be lava, boiling water, dripstone traps, their entire army. They have the height advantage and netherite armor, but we have numbers. So let's stick together and let's win this thing! Come on!
Alright, here we go! There's so many people.
You make me all blind with your civil rights. You demand that I eternize your name. Walk ahead.
Oh my God.
I think there might be a problem.
It's okay, it's good, it's good, it's good.
You cover us in shame and I take the blame. Living by the rules, Teen Witch, high school blues. Walk ahead. Big cannons keep provoking. Blood-red suns thirst choking. Can anyone stand this nonsense?
Imagine when we figure out how to reduce lag on many large servers. So you could have lag-free experiences like this with in-game chat or in-game voice proximity. That would be amazing. Like, you can actually coordinate stuff and so.
Telling us to stop and obey. To stop and obey.
They're pouring water on the lava, but the water still burns.
Okay, send out the covenant now, right now.
Go, 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 go.
Oh, big fighting on the ground right now. Covenant is attacking from behind.
Keep going!
Skin shine. Joker's got silver linings. Holy Mary sings songs in the wet rain. Walk ahead.
Shields up, shields up! They only have so many arrows, guys. They only have so many arrows.
Now every new day is a new fire onto my teeth.
It's just chaos on the ground as well. It's the Covenant.
Someone show me someone living a desire.
Get down off our mountain. for the hole.
I'll jump in the hole with you guys.
Get to the top. Let's throw away up. Oh, coming, coming.
Did it though?
No. Surely not. No, of course he has a tunnel. Of course.
Where was he? I saw him! We're gonna kill him! Run away!
He's missing?
Hold on. Oh, come on. All right, guys, let's go. Let's go.
What? No way.
Wow, you actually showed up.
Can't say no to a friend, can I?
Let's make this a fair fight, okay? Flux.
Ridiculous.
Look at all these people dying right now because of you.
You know, Saps, none of this would have happened if you had died like you were supposed to. I'm sorry for everything you've had to go through.
I can't watch this.
Saps is actually kind of good.
Good job, Zap. Good job.
Saps had killed Flux, and with that, Flux's reign of terror was over.
Today, we gather to honor the lives lost in the Battle of Infernus.
Since then, I think we haven't felt the same. I know I certainly don't.
The Island 2 West Helm Alliance had defeated the Infernus forces, but winning had come at a high cost. After the war, people across the world took time to mourn their dead, reflect upon the battle, and then, eventually, decide how to move on. Now that Infernus, the Covenant, and the Commonwealth were off the map, there were talks of creating a new world government. But ultimately, it never really materialized, and all the remaining nations just agreed to do their own thing and have peace.
In the corner of the crowded
Island 1 had taken the brunt of the war. Crops trampled, the big tree scorched, the volcano ravaged. As a result, people across Island 1 struggled after the war.
But I meant dead.
Some of them joined cults, while others moved to Island 2 in search of a better life. Elysium was fine though. Instead of going to war on day 10, the Nation of Peace had decided to hold a peace festival. And on their shore was something new. A bridge stemming all the way from Luminara. And so everybody lived on in peace, including Saps, who at long last had returned to Island 2.
Am I strong enough?
Those brings back memories. Still, the world wasn't totally conflict-free. The Cass Coalition Bakery was yet to be exposed for causing the death of Wood Daddy. And Knight Arcturus was still in hiding, yet to be found by Westhelm. It's a big world, so it's not a surprise that many stories like these may just never end. But I think there's some beauty in that.
Do we all so slowly lose control as emotions overflow?
Yeah, we still have some work to do. We will catch that traitor. But tonight you can rest. You've made your emperor very proud.
Or do we all?
Jury, you have heard all of the evidence. If you find Thomas 5200 guilty of aiding Fluxion with his reign of terror, jump now. Tomas, may you find mercy in the end, senor.
because I thought you were gonna blow up my nation and kill all my citizens. But after we talked a little bit for like 5 minutes, I realized you could blow up my nation and kill all my citizens. But that doesn't mean you will.
Barbie, do you take Oppenheimer to be your one and only candidate?
I do.
Oppenheimer, same thing.
I do.
Now, at this time, Barbie and Oppenheimer have requested that instead of rings, they will both exchange something slightly different. If you would please turn your attention to the nuclear bomb that's behind us. 3, 2, 1.
So slowly lose control as emotions overflow, falling into the unknown. Or do we all guard our small fragile hearts?
What took place at the end
How
of
did I create the core concepts and mechanics of this game?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my interview featuring the 8 people who ended up becoming the main characters of the Rich and Poor 1,000 player civilization experiments. Let's go. Welcome everyone. Welcome. All right. Audience in game here. Cheer again if this is the first time I did this. Yes, very well. Welcome everyone. Welcome. Thank you for being okay, we have something in a cage being cooked. It's 2v2. Very well. I actually feel like that's appropriate. Welcome YouTube chat. Welcome Flo. I see you within there. We got Galia, Cool Dude, Darren, Tang, Wacko. Welcome YouTube chat. Suzuki, of course, in the chat. Rev. Some of the Glory West. Dear Lord. Welcome everyone. Thanks for being here. Without further ado, let's bring up our 8 main characters. And of course, we actually have a few more characters, prominent characters here in the video. We got Legacy, of course. 3 Below, who I guess is just 3 Below instead of 3 Below around. Interesting. Freshman, we got one of the leaders of Fury, Tyrannical, Nevermore. Who else we got? Who else are the characters? Let me see. Almond. Well, this is the pretty combo table over here. Joe Field, we got Turkey, we got Darren, Pixels, Barbie, of course, Madly. So, yes, thank you all of our characters for being here. But we're going to bring out our 8 main guests of the evening. I'll be conversing with them, and they'll be giving their thoughts about the events, the video, and everything that happens. And I also have selected theme songs for all 8. We'll see what they think about them. I haven't shared them with anyone, but each of them get a theme song coming out. So, first up, we got a little just on stage. It feels a little appropriate. Up first, the leader of one of Island 1's biggest nations, the nation of peace, Elysium. Folks, please welcome on stage Benji Button. Come on, Benji. Woo! Welcome. Benji. Yes, you have your very own position. You got your own mic. Let's see what you guys saying. W Benji, Benji, people love you.
Oh, that's not something I'm used to.
Yes, all your people during the event hated you for some reason, but the YouTube audience seems to really like you. Well done, sir. Up next, on the other side of the table, and the very first person of Island 2 we are introducing is the leader of the Cass Coalition. Ladies and gentlemen, call me Cass. Yes, there she is. Yes, everybody. My goats, Cass W, Cass W, Cass. More unanimous thumbs for calling me Cass. Cass, how are you doing today?
Hello, everybody. I'm so well. Thank you for having me here.
Very well. It sounds like you're on microphone as if you're driving right now. Is that correct?
Oh, that is sad to hear. No, but I'm not on my PC. I'm working on a laptop with a trackpad right now. So we can watch it.
Of course, yes. And just like in the event, you make things work during the event, so that's the chaos during you. All right, very well. Our next guest on stage. Oh, this is going to be a very interesting one. Ladies and gentlemen, the protector of the volcano, the queen of Infernus, Queen Sinica. Yeah, Sinica. Welcome. Please take your time over there next to Benji. Yes, one of the most legendary nations in any of these videos. Sinica, how are you today? Yeah, feel free to do now. Well, that's alright. She'll figure it out eventually. Ladies and gentlemen, Sinica. We got W's. Someone else, my queen. Someone has it to me. Okay. Very well. Sinica, you can just be using. Okay, I can stage. That's why. Okay. I will allow somebody back on stage. Please welcome our next guest, the last remaining leader of the Commonwealth. There are 5 leaders, 4 of them over there. But only one of them gets the glory today. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on stage Sitzkrieg. Oh, yeah, you're good. I apologize. I couldn't find Commonwealth explosions for just to get some reason. Commonwealth. Sitzkrieg, welcome. Thank you for joining us. All right, thanks for having me, I guess. Yes, all right. Sinica, back on stage. No, still not.
Yes,
Oh, yes,
yes, I'm here.
yes, Seneca, thank you for joining us. Thank you very much. Listen, I don't know if this is good news for you, but the next person I'm about to introduce. Yeah, exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on stage another resident of the volcano. And this guy's he's a good bit of fan favorites. And well, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the leader of the Lingolini Mafia, Lingolini. Oh, my freaking. Of course. Where did you even come out? What is that?
I came out of a pipe.
You
Don't look at the scaffolding there. There's nothing there anymore.
What? Oh my God! It's actually a green. Why am I surprised? Okay. Dear Lord, welcome, Lingolini. You know you have glowing particles.
It's my star power. Don't worry about it.
Of course, very well. All right, thank you, Mr. Lingolini. Thank you very much for joining us today. It's nice that you're sitting right across, literally half a block away from Queen Seneca of Infernus. This is going to be a lot of fun. Seneca is already quitting. Oh, very well. And up next, oh God, this guy, ladies and gentlemen, he was one of the leaders of Luminara at some point. He wanted peace for his island. He wanted to save it, but did he? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on stage, Fluxion. Yeah! Golden Dripstone, of course he is, of freaking course. My God, he embodies the song and everything. Jesus. Very well. I see someone spamming in chat. Fluxion was right. I see a bunch of aura. I see a bunch of booze. Very mixed reactions to your entrance. Well done, sir. All right. Now we get to our final two. Folks, the last person I'm introducing today from Island 1 is the leader of Island 1's biggest nation, the Emperor of Island 1 and of Westhelm. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on stage, Emperor Spood. Welcome, welcome. The entire Minecraft chat is saying boo, and actually there's some glory to Westhelm. Very well. The YouTube chat though is all glory to Westhelm. Very nice. Spood, how are you doing? Please say something to the people. You're muted, Spood. All right, we'll let him figure that out as well. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, yes. Hello, Spood. Welcome.
Okay, I'm doing good. How you doing, Mr. Rich?
Oh, so good. This entire table, you're the only leader on Island 1 who survived. Isn't that ridiculous? I still find that just crazy. Sorry, spoilers for those who haven't watched the video. But,
listen, I have some really good gods, and I know you loved all of them, didn't you?
Precisely, yes. Thank you, Spood. And, of course, our final guest on stage. This individual was from Island 2. He didn't have a nation. He was on his own. But he ended up being dragged into the center of world politics. Ladies and gentlemen, our final guest on stage. Please welcome Zapata. Where's he coming from? Oh, crap. Okay, that works too. Yeah. Welcome, Saps. Welcome. Hello, Saps. Hello.
Chat is a failure.
Yeah, we just had the entire server kick and rejoin there, but I think we're back. Welcome, Saps. And
Aura.
Yes, I suppose it is. Let's see what people are saying. He's the main character. Saps, Aura, he's him. Aura, I don't even know what that means. Very well. Saps, the audience seems to like you. Well done, sir. How do you feel? Literally holding hands right now. I'm gonna talk about it. All right. I believe there has been a recent trend in fan arts called the Fluxorata category. Is that correct? I just
want to talk about it.
Don't acknowledge it.
Okay. All right. Very well. Very well. We'll move on then. Okay. Well, 5 days after the video's out. Thank you guys for joining us today. The reception on the video has been absolutely incredible. First of all, so can we just get around ago that you literally had a draft written up called Operation Spood, in which you took over each Island 1 nation one by one. Is that true?
Yeah, and I recently spoke to somebody who was the largest variable in that, and they said they were going along with it. So I can't really think what I should have done.
Yeah. So Spood could have gone either way. The rest of you on Island 1. Oh, of course we have Seneca and Lingolini together. How are you two feeling specifically?
We're getting shipped. People are obsessed with the enemies and lovers there, which I don't know why, but sure, I guess.
Oh God, no.
She's the Bowser to my Mario.
Oh God, no.
I did.
Yesterday's stream, I went to sleep. Wow.
We're gonna cover that right now.
For everyone who missed it, while I've got the coffee brewing in the background, day 115 of development on Terra Factor. So off rip, if you'll recall from the previous one, or if you didn't watch the previous one, that's okay, man. But basically, we added slimes back into the game. Oh, yep, there we go. So these guys were completely decimating the factory. This guy's stuck. Let's just push him off the edge. There you go. Hey, little buddy. They were going through the factory and completely destroying everything. So I disabled them targeting really anything other than the player, just to make it kind of shippable for now. So you'll have an army of slimes coming after you. Let me just destroy these guys real quick. Get out of here. Get out of here. And yeah, pathfinding in general. So if I turn on the debug visualizer from pathfinding, you'll see it just flash on for a sec. I kind of broke the debug visualizer, but basically we got proper A-style pathfinding in here, and it's pretty good. It's all right. The reason that I put that in, I mean, A, the slimes are just being really stupid and getting stuck on everything. But B, we actually have walls back in the game now. Let me go find some redwood real quick. Yep, grab a bunch of these bad boys. So you can kind of make a, this one's gonna kill me. My health is dangerously low. But you can make a base now with walls. And they should path around the walls. Let's see if we can find a slime. All right, Mr. Slime. This is the test. Look at that. He found his way in. It's over for him. He's now stuck on the wall. Oh. Let's see if we can get around. Yeah, look at that, dude. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's sweet. So yeah, pathfinding's in now. We got the wood walls back in, so you know you can kind of build like a little bit of a base early game to push these guys back. Yeah, we can make a nice little cozy base, man. Now, in theory, this is probably what I'm gonna work on today, but you should be able to regen health when you're inside a base. Maybe just next to a campfire or something. You know, we can place out a nice cozy campfire here. It'd be nice. The other thing I added was I brought the homie Stumpy back into the game. Now, if you don't know who Stumpy is, well, let me introduce you to my main man. He's a little bit frightening, but that's okay. If we run out here and try not to die, I'm one hit away from death. Oh shit. And look, now we run back in the base, he's chill, he's gonna go about his day. Really, really cool. So the enemy behavior is kind of good now. If I were to just open up one of these walls, there's an issue right now where if I hide inside one of the walls, it will actually make it so that it can't pathfind to me. So you can see here, if we just do one of these, it's pathing to me, but then the node gets in the wall. Oh, you just killed me. Why you gotta fuck up my demonstration like that, bro? But basically, the node gets in the wall, so then it thinks it can't go there. So that's a bug I'll have to fix. But pathfinding's looking pretty good now. Not too shabby. It's not the most performant, but it does the trick. So there's one other thing I did yesterday. Fix memory bug in Seaball on Marshall, in parentheses, maybe. So I've been running into a rare crash during upgrades from like one game version to another. So I used the Seaball format. Concise binary object representation. Excellent. It's kind of like JSON, but you know, you can store binary, a little bit tighter, a little bit less shit. So that's what I'm using to store the game save right now. But we had a bit of a bug when upgrading from one world to the next. This is what the data looks like. You know, obviously quite a bit of binary, so it's gobbledygook. But for each field, it saves the name of the variable. So with that, you can basically get versioning for free, which is really cool. So if I go to the entity here, and I just right in the middle add in some random field. You know, if you were just writing out this entire thing to binary, it would break and be shit. But since it's in Seaball, things just get passed fine and restored beautifully. So that's great. But there was a bug happening where when you add stuff, it actually wasn't restoring it beautifully. So I had to go in and find that. It's actually, I had to copy the Odin package and just modify it, or the unmarshal, when it was unloading the struct. And the bug fix was just zeroing this beforehand because it was giving garbage memory on new fields. So that was a good like 3-hour long bug hunt, which was great. And in the end, how did I find the bug? I asked my homie Clyde. I was like, problem. I have this buggy wuggy, and I told it to check out the unmarshal thing, and then the problem is exactly what I suspected. It said, yo, just add the 0 here, fam. I was like, okay, copy paste, yonky splunky. Problem solved. I love AI, man. It also, yesterday, basically single-handedly did all the pathfinding, which was kind of nutty. I basically had pathfinding in here a while back from an old version, but it was really shit. So I just said, yo, make it better, please. And then it kind of just one-shot made the entire system really fucking good. It was kind of scary, but now we have excellent pathfinding, and it's great. Damn, I need to use AI more. Yeah, so there's two camps, right? There's the AI bro, which is like, AI is sick, bro. You should use it for everything. Oh, man. Dude, I'm a fucking prompt engineer. And then there's like the other camp, which is like, I do not need AI. It is dog shit. All it does is say stupid things. And it's never right. It's dog shit, man. And hot take. Really, really hot take here. But maybe it's useful sometimes and not useful other times. So I would highly recommend, if you're not using it already, Snag Cursor. Best $20 a month I've ever spent. Collectively, it's probably saved me like a lot of time. I don't know how to quantify it, but if I had to like gut check it, it would be, even over the last like 2 weeks, probably 5 hours. Probably like the best way to put it is, if you're relying on it to do the job for you, it's bad, because then you kind of just get stuck in this cycle of like trying to like prompt and reprompt to do it like this very specific thing. But if you just don't rely on it being correct, you still kind of do the thing. You still do the problem solving. It just aids in speeding up the problem solving, if that makes sense. I don't really know how to put it beyond that. That's my little rant for the day. I'm gonna try something a little bit different today, and I'm going to highlight this stream as it goes, because I'm finding it kind of awkward to do daily recaps right before I'm about to start a stream and do the day's work. So if you're watching this on YouTube,
not create the core concepts and mechanics of this game. They were borrowed from other games. So that's all you have to do. Just copy somebody else's game and, you know, profit or something. Do I have some sort of design document that describes what the plot and core gameplay? Generally speaking, I have never used design documents. I never liked them the whole time I've been in the game industry. I think they're kind of for posers. There are some cases in larger team scenarios when you do want to document what the design will be or is, even if it's implemented. Like some people might have questions about it, right? But for the most part, like the hard thing about a video game is not the game design. As stupid as that sounds. As much of a design person as I am, and I believe in doing challenging game design, like just making the fucking graphics run is way harder than making a really good game design. So like you shouldn't be blocked on the design. Like people shouldn't be waiting on knowing what the design is in order to do things. And if they have questions, they can just ask the design lead or whatever, right? Like you don't need a 100-page thing explaining the game. People should be playing the game and understand the game, basically. On an indie team, there's absolutely no reason for a design document. When you get up to a team that's like 40 plus people, I could start seeing it. But again, the design should be in the game, right? They should be able to run the game and play the game from the beginning, and then they know what the design is. Like rendering graphics is just unbelievably hard compared to everything else. Design docs are also typically used to explain the plan to the suits. I mean, in the older days especially, that was true.
This is Sagittarius A, a black hole in the center of the Milky Way, simulated in C++ using OpenGL. You've probably heard of black holes being crazy objects with gravity so strong that not even light can escape. But no matter how crazy you believe these objects are, you are wrong. And in this video, I hope to show you firsthand by using real physics equations to simulate the effects of black holes in space. So, let's start off with the plan. Simulating a black hole unsurprisingly has multiple parts. Firstly, black holes have the ability to curve light around them, creating these super cool effects that we'll be diving deep into later. To simulate this, I need to create a ray tracing engine. Similar to our own eyes, a ray tracing engine creates images using light rays. But instead of absorbing light like our eyes, it shoots out rays from the screen and calculates the path they take to their origin. For the black hole, we can use physics equations to alter the path of these rays based on the pull of the black hole. If this sounds confusing, no problem. Let's start with a 2D model. I begin by initializing OpenGL in an engine struct and running a window in the main loop. First, I'll create two structs for the black hole and the light rays. A struct is a simple way of creating your own data type that can store its own variables, and over the radians of the circle, we can get the sine and cosine values for each angle and multiply them by the radius to get a perfect circle. Then using the position values, we can offset the center to get full control over the black hole's position. Pretty simple. Now moving on to the ray struct, for now we'll just add an x and y component. In a simple draw function, we'll draw a point using their x and y coordinates. Then we'll create a step function that takes the velocity of light 299,72458 meters per second in a given direction and moves the light forward in small increments. Now let's initialize the ray in the main loop and run the simulation. This is nice, but I kind of want to see the path of the light as it moves forward. Let's add a trail vector to track the ray's previous positions. Each update will push the new x and y coordinates to the trail, and then blend it so that the trail is brightest at the tip and fades out near the end. Now in the main loop, we can initialize a cluster of rays in line and run the simulation. Isn't that neat? But obviously, if this was a real black hole, the light rays wouldn't be so chill going right through it. So now let's actually implement the physics to alter the path of the rays. Firstly, we'll be using polar coordinates instead of normal x and y. Polar coordinates are centered to the black hole. R is the distance of the black hole to the ray, and pi is the angle from the x-axis. Here's a grid to help you visualize the two coordinates. Since our black hole is at 0, 0, R can be calculated using the simple distance equation. But for all the pro programmers out there, we can use the hypotenuse function that does the same thing. Then pi can be calculated using the atan function that takes in the x and y and outputs the angle. Step 1 complete. Pretty easy. Now quickly using our new polar coordinates, let's add an if statement to stop the rays from flying right through the black hole. If R is less than the Schwarzschild radius, the point of no return, we can just skip stepping the ray. Let's test it out real quickly, and perfect. So far so good. Now we have to take a bit of a step back because there's some pretty intense math and physics that need to be explained. Okay, so you've probably heard that the universe is made of this thing called space-time, and that big masses like stars or black holes can warp space-time, something we call gravity. This curvature does something very interesting to the geometry of space. Think of a plane flying around Earth. Planes always take the shortest path to their destination, but on a flat map, this path looks curved. This is the definition of a geodesic, the shortest path in a curved space. So that weird curved flight path is actually the straightest possible path if you take into account Earth's curvature. The same goes for space-time. All matter, including light, follows the geodesic path unless something is pushing on you. Right now, you're experiencing the ground pushing up on you, so you're not following the natural geodesic path towards Earth's center. This is intrinsically why you feel your own weight. Our goal now is to have our rays follow a geodesic, the shortest path through a curved space-time grid. This doesn't just mean apply gravity, it means calculate the shape of space-time itself. Because light is the fastest thing in our universe, it goes on a path that nothing else can go on because we experience the time dimension whilst light doesn't. So we need to find a special path called the null geodesic. The tool physics gives us for this is the Einstein field equation. It's a law that connects mass and energy with the geometry of space-time. But this doesn't give us a direct answer. To get actual paths, we need to solve it under specific conditions, which by the way is like the hardest thing to do in all of physics. And that's why in 1915, Carl Schwarzschild looked at this equation and thought, what if we took everything out of the universe and just left a still spherical mass? That would leave the entire right side of the equation to 0. Solving for this, he created the Schwarzschild metric that is even able to predict the curvature around a non-spinning black hole, and it's what we'll be using in our simulation. That's a lot of physics talk, so hopefully you have a clear idea of what we're trying to do here. Find the shortest path on a curved grid. So let's create a geodesic function outside of our structs that takes in the ray and the event horizon. In our ray struct, we'll add the dr and dpi parameters. These will act as our velocities for our polar positions. Now we need to figure out how fast those change. What is the acceleration of the direction of light? Key point, not speed, direction. The equation that will help us find the rate of change of the direction, well, we have to calculate it ourselves from the geodesic equation. This is the geodesic equation. It helps us find the straightest possible path in a curved spacetime. We could literally use this equation to find the shortest path for a plane plane around the globe. This XU variable refers to any of the coordinates, t, r, or pi, that we'll plug in one at a time to get our equation for. This value here is the affine parameter. It's an arbitrary step size that we use to move forward in our simulation. Bringing it together, this entire part of the equation just means the acceleration of one of the coordinates, r or pi. So let's start by filling in XU for our pi coordinate, the coordinate we're trying to find the acceleration for. Now here comes the tricky looking part, the Christoffel symbols, written like an upside down L. These are what actually encode the curvature of space-time caused by the black hole. The rest of the right-hand side of the equation are just the velocity of components we already have, dr and d pi. So to find the second derivative of pi, or how the angular velocity changes, we use this specific Christoffel symbol. Simplifying it down, we get 1 over r. Plugging this into the geodesic equation, we get the second derivative of pi is equal to 2 over r times dr times d pi. And it's the same line of steps for our coordinate. We plug in the relevant Christoffel symbol and simplify. And we end up with the second derivative of r being negative c squared times the source field radius divided by 2r squared plus r times d pi squared. These are the two final equations that give us our acceleration values for r and pi. So now we can just enter these equations into the geodesic function. More than having a complete understanding on how these calculations work and all, it's important that you understand the higher level of what they mean. This one is just finding out how fast our ray moves closer to the black hole, and this one is finding out how fast the angle changes relative to the black hole. And just understanding that these equations are calculating the shortest possible path on a curved space-time grid, like the plane on the Earth, that's all we really need to know. Now in our step function, we can use our geodesic function to define the acceleration values for r and pi. These second derivative values will update our first derivatives, dr and d pi, which will directly update our r and pi position values. Then we can translate these back into normal Cartesian coordinates and push them back in our trail. Now let's initialize the rays again and run the simulation. Isn't that neat? We can now clearly see the light being curved here by the black hole, and even some rays spiraling in. I was even able to initialize a ray that completed 3 complete orbits before flying off. But I'm noticing a few funny little errors here. This light ray took a giant step directly into the black hole, and the path of the light seems a bit too straight for my liking. After some research, I found out that the problem stems from our step function. We're using something called the Euler's method, taking our acceleration and applying it to our velocities and position directly. But this is like driving high speed on a curved road in pitch dark. We're making sharp steps forward since we don't have context on what's coming next. The solution is something called Runge-Kutta 4, or RK4. What RK4 does is it doesn't just take one step forward, it takes 4 steps forward, all in one go. And then based on those 4 steps, it has a much more educated guess on what the accurate position of the light would be. So let's create an RK4 function underneath the geodesic function. Essentially, we'll be running the geodesic equation 4 times, and each time we'll be creating a new ray based on a new position. And at the end, we'll average out the 4 states using the special RK4 formula to get the most accurate path of the light, and that should be it. As you can see, we see much more realistic curves and no rigid steps compared to the old Euler's method. This is about as accurate as our 2D ray simulation can really get. Really quickly, I had the idea to add 2 black holes, meaning 2 entire polar coordinates, and here is what that looked like. Pretty neat. So with our 2D demonstration complete, and hopefully your understanding of black holes expanded, let's move on to the 3D version. Other than adding a z coordinate or a theta value to all our objects, there's a small problem with moving to 3D. You see, to run an 800 by 600 pixel simulation, that's 480,000 rays per frame. And each of those rays go through 4 different evaluations in Runge-Kutta, in tiny small steps. In experimentation, I found that in order to render the black hole in frame, our lights would have to complete at least 10 to 20,000 steps forward. All of that becomes a very heavy load on my poor CPU. But we'll worry about performance later. Let's just get a working ray tracer going. I'll skip the boring parts, but essentially I set up a quad texture. A quad texture is like a picture that will display our screen based on a list of pixels that we give it. All we need now is a list of pixels, and our screen will be whatever pixel values are on that list. So if we have the first half of the pixels set to red, our screen will be half red. Isn't that neat? Now in the while loop, we can run an 800 by 600 array of rays, and if they do intercept the black hole, we can set their corresponding index values in the pixels list to red. But these rays need some initial values. So let's create a camera struct with an orbital navigation system just like in Blender, and shoot the rays out given an FOV. Then in a for loop of 20,000, we'll run the RK4 steps and update the rays. So with our 800 by 600 by 20,000 by 4 step procedure complete, it's time to test whether my CPU can actually handle all that. Well, that one is expected. Like I mentioned, there's no way my CPU could reasonably do that many calculations with a good frame rate. In fact, I set up a clock to calculate my frame rate, and I got some pretty scary numbers. But I could see my simulation was definitely working. When I added a Boolean value to disable curving the light, the simulation ran fine. However, the second I turned it on, it went ice cold. And that's where we had to switch from my CPU to my GPU. While CPUs are like Michelin-star restaurants that can make multiple types of food with unique recipes, GPUs are like McDonald's. There's no fancy business at McDonald's. It's just fast, reliable burgers over and over. And it's perfect for doing the repetitive calculations for our light rays in parallel. To run my simulation using my GPU, I create a new script in GPU language called geodesic.com. This script will run super fast and then return back all the values of the rays to my main script that's powered by my CPU. We're going to transfer the ray struct, the geodesic and RK4 equations, and then run a 20,000 step loop in geodesic.com. If the ray intercepts a black hole, it's set to red and breaks. Otherwise, we run the RK4 function and update the position. And then once the loop is done, we'll return the final color. Okay, this is definitely better than what we had before, but I'm going to reduce my screen resolution from 800 by 600 down to 400 by 300, just to make it a little bit faster. This feels much better, and the simulation seems to be working well. But now is the moment we've all been waiting for. I want to see the halos around the black hole. I want to see how black holes warp objects around them. So let's add an objects list to our simulation. In geodesic.conf, we're going to create a simple disk around the black hole, along with an object checker to detect when the ray intersects with the object. So let's see the final part. While I show you guys more of these images, I just want to mention my dearest thank you to all of you that watched, liked, subscribed, and commented on my last video. If you haven't already, may I just allow your mouse to follow its natural geodesic path towards that beautiful subscribe button. It would really mean a lot. To learn coding and create cool projects like this, I recommend signing up for codecrafters.io, linked in my description. It's free and a perfect place to learn low-level skills like this. I truly appreciate you all. I reply to basically every comment on my videos, so you can contact me via the comment section below, or you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram as well for DMs and updates on my project. This is our solar system, although not to scale, simulated using OpenGL and C++. Gravity is one of those things that most people believe they understand, however, I can almost promise that you probably don't. And in this video, I hope to complete your understanding by using real physics equations and some coding magic to simulate objects in space. To start, I initialize OpenGL and create a simple window. Now, like almost everything in low-level programming, simplicity is nowhere to be found. Like most of the engines, OpenGL renders objects in smaller triangular parts. So to create a circle, we need to take in the position, radius, and resolution of a circle. Then, starting with the center, we can create a list of vertices that form the shape of a circle around the center using basic trigonometric functions. From this, OpenGL will render these vertices as separate triangles that form the shape of a circle. Isn't that neat? Now, to move the circle down, or at all for this matter, we can simply just put all this code into a draw circle function and create a position vector, which can, in the while loop, edit the center position of the circle and move it down very slowly. This is called velocity, a change in position over a change in time. But gravity isn't a velocity, it's an acceleration force. On Earth, it's 9.81 meters per second squared, meaning every second your velocity is increasing by 9.81. So instead of updating our position directly, we need to create a velocity vector that stores the current velocity. And every frame we can increase the velocity in the y-axis by 9.81. As you can see, every frame we can position directly, we need to create a velocity is increasing by 9.81. So instead of updating our position directly, we need to create a velocity.
Ghislaine Maxwell has cleared Donald Trump's name while awaiting her pardon. This is new from ABC. Ghislaine Maxwell told DOJ Trump.
What talk am I losing money on?
In recent years,
Trump never did anything concerning around her. Now, notably, Trump has been asked whether he's going to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell. Before he said he wishes her well.
I just wish her well, frankly.
Yeah, I wish you well. I wish a lot of people well. Then he's asked if he's going to pardon her. He says, well, I'm allowed to do it. I really haven't thought of it.
I'm allowed to do it, but it's something I've not thought about.
Now, notably, this is very similar to the way Trump has responded previously when talking about people he would later end up pardoning.
I don't want to talk about pardons for Michael Flynn yet. You pardon Paul Manafort. I have not even given it a thought as of this moment. Am I just done? Are you going to pardon him, sir? He's been convicted of felonies. Are you going to pardon him? Well, I haven't thought of it.
Now, obviously, he later did pardon Michael Flynn, Roger Stone, and Paul Manafort, and this has all led many people to wonder if a similar thing is in the works for Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, this all comes after 9 hours of Ghislaine Maxwell privately speaking to Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. He's the former defense attorney for Donald Trump, and this was a private meeting. It's notable that there were talks about doing it publicly in front of Congress, but that got shoved aside pretty quick when they realized they could just do this behind closed doors. Now, Todd Blanche said he was thinking about releasing the transcripts. We don't know if that's going to happen or not, but today we got leaks of what may have been said during the 9 hours where Ghislaine Maxwell told Todd Blanche that Trump had never done anything in her presence that would have caused concern. Now, do we believe this? Well, the challenge is that Ghislaine Maxwell has every reason to lie. She, after all, is looking for a pardon. Her lawyer says right now that she would welcome any relief, and relief is exactly what she got after this testimony. Right after the testimony to the DOJ where she cleared Trump's name, she got transferred to a less restrictive prison called a minimum security prison, with the Washington Post calling it one of the nation's most lenient lockups for nonviolent women offenders. It's notable she had to get a special waiver to even go to this prison because normally sex offenders are not allowed. And this is something I really want to hit home. Previously I've been talking about Ghislaine Maxwell, and we've been talking sort of like, okay, yeah, she trafficked for Jeffrey Epstein. I think it's worth hitting home that she also participated in some of the acts. She is a sex offender convicted, and those types of people aren't eligible normally for minimum security prisons. That's why a former warden told the Post inmates if they have a offense are not going to a place like that. Period. It's truly unheard of. Quote, it's a country club. Someone gave special preference to Maxwell that, in my knowledge, no other inmate currently serving in the Federal Bureau of Prisons has received. So she is getting special treatment for something. We don't know exactly why she had to get a special waiver for this, though. This is not something that everyone gets. Contradicting this, though, the president has come out and said, oh, this is actually a very normal thing.
For you. One, were you aware of and did you personally approve the prison transfer for Ghislaine Maxwell that your Justice Department?
I didn't know about it at all. No, I read about it just like you did.
And do you believe that she's
It's not a very uncommon thing.
Do you believe that she's credible to be listening to your Deputy Attorney General sat down with her recently?
Well, let me tell you, he's a very talented man.
I'll remind you, the guy he's talking about formerly was his defense attorney. And her question, which never really gets answered, which is can we trust Ghislaine Maxwell, actually is an important one because previously she was charged with perjury. This was in connection with her 2016 deposition. Perjury just means she was lying under oath. Quote, in 2016, I'll testify under oath. This reporting Maxwell repeatedly made false statements, specifically about certain specific acts and events alleged in the indictment. right? And so, can we trust someone who previously our government charged with making false statements, when specifically these false statements may benefit her? I don't know, maybe you think she's turned a leaf and she suddenly is Mrs. Honesty, but it's worth saying she's already reaping the rewards of the testimony she's given so far. Our president proceeds to talk about how talking to Ghislaine Maxwell is going to help with the fact that we don't want people getting caught up in this that would have their lives hurt.
Whatever he has would be totally appropriate, and it's not an uncommon thing to do that. And I think he probably wants to make sure that, you know, people that should not be involved or aren't involved are not hurt by something that would be very, very unfortunate, very unfair to a lot of people.
We don't want people getting involved who might be hurt by this, right? That's why we gotta talk to her behind closed doors. We gotta give her preferential treatment, right? Because you don't
handful of YouTubers have run social experiments where a certain number of players, usually 100 to 1,000, would be dropped in a world with certain rules to abide by, with the goal of building a civilization. It started with YouTuber MagicGum, who had been theorizing on his channel about how human history would have been different if humanity existed in Minecraft. He ran the social experiment to test these theories in 2021. He started by making a public server where people who died would be temporarily banned to mimic the risk of death that real life posed. Consequently, the server was thrown into a series of endless murders as players found it satisfying to be able to temp ban people by killing them. MagicGum tried to remedy this by adding a reputation system, which only worsened the issue as players tried to speedrun to the worst reputation. In an attempt to steer his experiment in the direction he wanted, he created a formal event that would run for specific times during a set number of days, along with set rules to attempt to guide the players into cooperating with each other. In this first experiment, he put 100 players into different 100 by 100 block boxes with different biomes and resources, along with sending RDMers to their own box called Australia to form a prisoner colony. The goal of the experiment was to see how different groups reacted to the available resources and how that changed the way they organized themselves. MagicGum's rules had to be very strict and very guided to get players to cooperate. The most blatant of these rules being literally telling them, form a civilization to advance to the next level. The next level being trading and interacting with other civilizations. Similar rules, or at least expectations, had to be implemented in most following experiments done by MagicGum-ish and other large creators. I'd like to propose that the reason players had to be forced to cooperate by weeding out antisocial players and imposing rules and expectations was because of the individualistic nature of Minecraft's production loop, and that if this individualistic production loop was replaced by a social production loop, players wouldn't need to be coerced into cooperation by outside rules, and would lead to much more interesting and divergent experiments. First, let's analyze why MagicGum had to resort to outside rules and expectations to get players to cooperate, whereas these external rules were not needed in real-life social development. The simple answer is that in Minecraft, every player is able to meet their individual material requirements fairly easily. This is something to be expected, considering the game would be very boring if you couldn't play without 20 other people. Cooperation is only useful in reducing the time needed to produce the materials to satisfy those requirements. Take, for example, food. Ignoring the fact that lack of food won't kill you outside of hard mode, food is exceptionally easy to get by either making a small farm or by simply hunting some of the many passive mobs that spawn in abundance, mobs which will not defend themselves. Food security for each individual player can be reached by each individual player working on their own. This means the only reason players would work together to provide food security is if they collectively just wanted to, or if there was an external expectation or rule to do so. Next, let's move on to housing. Housing is something that is required to protect players from hostile mobs. Basic housing can be built with any block and can be constructed within the first 30 seconds of spawning. The only reason players would work together to provide housing is if they wanted to build something more, well, pleasing to the eye at a faster rate than working alone, or if they just all wanted to, take you and your friends teaming up to build a town, for example, or if there was an external expectation or rule to do so. This goes on with nearly everything you would need or want to do in Minecraft. I call this the individualist production loop, referring to how each individual player can gather all of the resources and craft, build, or grow everything necessary to meet their material needs and complete their wants or goals. The option to work together is there, but it's not required. Because of this, players who want to go around murdering everyone can do so. These aspiring murderers can work by themselves to provide themselves housing, food, weapons, armor, etc. Hence the need to require cooperation and to weed out those who choose to go it on their own. From this analysis, the solution to creating a naturally developing Minecraft society is clear. Make it extremely hard or impossible for each individual player to produce their material needs by themselves. If they cannot by themselves provide food security for themselves, or housing for themselves, or weapons or armor for themselves, then these conditions, their material conditions, make it impossible for players to go off on their own and become antisocial axe-wielding maniacs. And moreover, it makes it extremely important for players to cooperate to meet their material needs, leading to the formation of social relations and production in the process. I call this the social production loop in Minecraft, where players need to work together in a coordinated way to gather the resources and craft, build, or grow their material requirements. This is why Minecraft civilizations fail to create their own unique societies, and typically build off of preconceived notions that players bring from real life, such as we need to build a democracy or empire or kingdom or dictatorship instead of a social organization evolving from their existing conditions. In real life, it's extremely difficult to provide for yourself all of your material needs by yourself, and therefore why humans necessarily form social relations and production to be able to produce in sufficient quantities the material requirements of life. This is why social anxiety is rooted in our DNA, because our ancestors who were scared of being shunned or exiled by their tribe would be biologically incentivized to cooperate and to form these relations to avoid being left to fend for themselves. Of course, we don't need to simulate anxiety in Minecraft. We just need to provide the conditions which gave rise to it. Here are some general recommendations. 1. Increase the required usage of food or decrease the yield of food sources. 2. Increase the cost of housing or increase the drawbacks of lack of housing. 3. Increase the cost of tools, weapons, and armor. 4. Increase the material requirements for players such as adding thirst, tiredness, etc. 5. Introduce a player reproduction system where 2 players on the server with enough food could create a new player slot to allow previously dead or new players into the server. In following these general recommendations, I would advise not to simply increase how much food players need or decrease yields directly in loot drops and harvesting, as it can be annoying to players who are accustomed to needing a certain amount of food and yielding a certain amount from drops and harvests. I would recommend a more creative approach, such as progressive health drop as you get hungrier, or livestock needing a constant supply of food to stay alive and not just to reproduce. The same goes for all other modifications. Don't just increase how much iron goes into an iron pickaxe, for example. Make it actually harder to make a pickaxe by requiring ore to be maybe smelted and then immediately forged using special expensive utility blocks, something like that. In MagicGum's most recent video, video, he addressed some of these points. He actually introduced a thirst system, he introduced natural disasters, and environmental change. Unfortunately, the only consequential change in material requirements was during the Ice Age, when crops and livestock froze to death, making food hard to come by. Outside rules and expectations were especially strong during the late stages when special resources were introduced to incentivize trade and expansion. Because of the hesitancy in curtailing the individualist production loop, groups of players still had to be externally steered and directed into organizing into civilizations and expanding to other civilizations similar to the first experiment. I propose that a social production loop implemented in a civilization experiment in Minecraft through the use of mods would produce a much more complex, spontaneous, and interesting society with much more complex, spontaneous, and interesting politics, economics, and therefore storytelling. Without the guardrails and guidelines made by staff members and event organizers steering the development of civilizations, the viewer will feel that anything can happen, and that anything that does happen can be analyzed with much greater depth than in current experiments. For a simple example of how it can be more interesting for the viewer, compare games with an in-game economy that are set up by developers versus a game such as EVE Online that has an economy completely run by players and regulated by natural laws and is so interesting and has so much depth that multiple videos totaling tens of millions of views are being made to analyze it. Just imagine the ripple effects of even one large-scale experiment using a social production loop could generate, especially if participants record and upload their own POV to tell their own story. In terms of how the experiment should be structured, I recommend the event style that Magic pioneered instead of a full-time server, which would require a claim system to prevent griefing and theft when players are offline. Such systems could prevent emergent scenarios, such as in-game property laws, and could ruin both the players and the viewer's immersion. Having a set period of time, most likely 2 to 3 hours, a few days a week, or even 1 day a week, can let players rest easy after sessions, knowing that everything will be as they left it. This downtime in between sessions can also give space to role-playing elements, as players can plan and make decisions outside of the game. The combination of the social production loop and the event structure can give rise to truly unique forms of social organization. The different ways that groups of players organize and coordinate their production could be limitless. Another interesting question I want to have answered is, assuming that we start with many groups of players separated by distance, all developing their own societies, how will those societies develop over time? Will one form of social organization conquer the rest? What power structures will arise, if any? With a renewed emphasis on meeting material needs, will players be as focused on
Right, okay. This is just idea, you know? Maybe. Hello? Like a get ID, maybe get club.
Welcome to the Polymarket Order Book API. This documentation provides overviews, explanations, examples, and annotations to simplify interaction with Order Book. The following sections detail the Polymarket Order Book and the API usage. System Polymarket's Order Book, or CLOB, Central Limit Order Book, is hybrid decentralized. It includes an operator for off-chain matching/ordering, with settlement executed on-chain, non-custodially, via signed order messages. The exchange uses a custom exchange contract facilitating atomic swaps between binary outcome tokens, CTF ERC 1155 assets, and ERC 20P token assets, and collateral assets, ERC 20, following signed limit orders. Designed for binary markets, the contract enables complementary tokens to match across a unified order book. Orders are EIP 712, signed structured data. Matched orders have one maker and one or more takers, with price improvements benefiting the taker. The operator handles off-chain order management and submits matched trades to the blockchain for on-chain execution. API, the Polymarket Order Book API, enables market makers and traders to programmatically manage market orders. Orders of any amount can be created, listed, fetched, or read from the market order books. Data includes all available markets, market prices, and order history via REST and WebSocket endpoints. Security Polymarket's exchange contract has been audited by Chain Security, View Audit. The operator's privileges are limited to order matching, non-censorship, and ensuring correct ordering. Operators can't set prices or execute unauthorized trades. Users can cancel orders on-chain independently if trust issues arise. Fees. Schedule subject to change. Volume level. Maker fee base rate, BPS. Taker fee base rate, BPS. 0 USDC. 0. 0. Overview fees apply symmetrically in output assets, proceeds. This symmetry ensures fairness and market integrity. Fees are calculated differently depending on whether you are buying or selling. Selling outcome tokens, base, for collateral quote. Buying outcome tokens, base, with collateral quote.
And then what I'm going to do is if there's outcome prices in this dictionary and there are these tokens in this dictionary, I'm going
I just need to get order books. Come on.
to print it out. So these are the ones that I can buy a yes or no contract for. And so you can see when I look at this now, you see inflation during the speech, high probability there, so 62% chance. And so I could buy it for 62 cents, and then it pays out $1 if she actually says inflation during the speech, and then unburden, et cetera, project 205, and so forth. And so on the left side, you see the price for the yes contract, and then on the right side you see the price for the no contract, and then you see I'm printing these token IDs. And so there's a crypto and blockchain element to this particular market. Kalshi and the forecast trader of interactive brokers do not have the crypto aspect of it, and so I'll talk about those in a future video for people that are turned off by crypto related projects. But underneath the hood, there's information stored on the blockchain here. There's this element of transparency and so forth. So you actually have to have a wallet in order to make trades on this particular market. And so I'm gonna look at this and get some particular tokens that I find interesting. Let's just do an easy one that would have bets Donald or Trump 5 or more times during the DNC speech. You can see there's currently assigned a high probability to her doing that. And so what I can do is grab this yes token right here. And what I do is have another notebook here for the yes and no tokens. And so I can plug those in here, right? So I have the Kamala Trump yes token and the Kamala Trump no token right there. So I have those assigned to a variable. And what I'm going to do is use the WebSockets API. And so if I go over here, you'll see under the order book API, there's a WebSocket API right here. So you can actually subscribe to a WebSocket that's showing these orders happen in real time. And so what you do here is you connect to that WebSocket. So that WebSocket is right here, cloud.polymarket.com, and I can subscribe, right? So with the Python WebSockets library here, first of all, I need to install the Python WebSocket client here. Okay, and then once I do that, I'm connecting the WebSocket, and then I send a message saying I want to subscribe to these assets here, so these tokens. So Trump win election, or I don't want Trump win election yet. I did that earlier, so I'm going to do Kamala Trump yes token, and then Kamala Trump no token, right? And so if I do this, Kamala Trump no token, just like that, I'm going to send a message, and then after I send that message, I can start receiving WebSocket data about this trade. And then in order to keep the connection open, there's this whole sending Pong back if after a certain amount of time, so you need to say that you're still there. And so when I run this, you'll see I'll start to get some data. And so if you look at this on the web interface, any of this data that's on the web interface, you can technically collect and process it for yourself. And so you can see the Donald Trump five times bet right here. You can see the order book with the bids and asks here, and you can see the graph of how this particular prediction looked over time. So not only can we look at the history here, we can see all of this start to change in real time. And these will get, as soon as this live stream kicks off, so if I go to YouTube right now, and so this stream is actually going on right now, so the DNC is starting, everyone's dancing, whatever, but pretty soon there's going to be some speeches, and you'll see as soon as Kamala starts to speak, or as soon as things get closer, a lot of these bets are going to start to come in. If you look at something like Trump win election yes, and then Trump win election no, so if you look at these instead, you'll see a lot more. This will be one of the highest volume WebSockets right here. So there'll probably be tons of trades start coming in right here. And so yeah, that's pretty much what I want to show for now. I want to get more advanced, but this is a good introduction to polymarket prediction markets and why I find them interesting, and just an introduction to a few neat things that you might be able to do with it. I have tons of notebooks filled up where I graph this stuff over time, transcribe speeches with
These are scammers, by the way. Mm. What happens if I go? Use this one instead.
Whisper, look at economic data, various Fred and BLS data and things like that. And so, yeah, so if you're interested in this, I'm actually working with a friend. FriendTrack.ai is the name of a site that we're going to publish with tons of financial data, whether it's equities, crypto, prediction markets, maybe even sports, who knows where it'll go. Yeah, I'll link this below if you want to see what we're building in this area. I find all this super interesting, so hopefully you do too. I'm curious, are you interested in polymarket and prediction markets and content like this? Because it's a little bit unusual area. Some people
Right, I was kind of like trying to debug this a while ago.
All right. You can also exit out of the Copilot window on the right. That's kind of taking up space. They're trying to get you to use AI. You can just X out of that box up there. Using it for. Equals bald. Okay, so you're close. But how does an if statement work, Atrioc?
Wait, he's... Oh, I can't look at that.
If the message is bald, the result is true.
So how does... Look at the structure of an if statement. So go actually look
Organizing Minecraft events for hundreds of players isn't easy. But when the weeks or months of prep are over, it's one of the most rewarding experiences I've had in gaming. I think it's because you get to be part of this temporary world, together with the whole community, and anyone can have an impact on what happens. The concept of a civilization experiment is so broad because you can pick any theme you want, or let players decide completely on their own and see what they make. And I think that's why creators like Magicum, Ish, and others have made countless videos experimenting with the civilization niche. But there's a huge problem that every one of these events run into. Minecraft wasn't built with large-scale co-op in mind, and in a sense, all of these simulations aren't really simulations at all. They're more the appearance of a simulation. Recently, a creator named Joyful made a video essay on the topic that explains this problem, sparking a huge conversation, and that's why I'm making this video. This is a problem I've been thinking about for years, and a core focus of all of my events has been to solve it. So let's start with the basic problem. At its core, Minecraft was built for a single person. One player can get all the food, tools, and resources they need to beat the game without ever interacting with anybody else.
Do we just watch this?
Welcome, guys. Episode of Skywars. You remember that sound? Because I do. I used to play Minecraft every single day back in 2015, and I used to watch people like Technoblade playing Skywars and Jacksepticeye playing all sorts of random games. Right now, pretty much no one plays it anymore, but I still wanted to make a video on it. You know how it goes. I'm gonna automate stuff with Minecraft to make it more entertaining and throw in some programming. Before you beg for the Skyblock video, it's already been recorded. It's gonna be out very soon. Let's get into it. Skyblock is pretty simple. 12 people are put in cages and then dropped at the same time. You all have to loot some chests and then get to the mid-island by bridging and hoping not to get thrown off by projectiles. Once you're mid, you fight other players and the last one to be alive wins. The rules are simple, but there's a lot of scripts to be made. First, I'm gonna work on the automatic chest looting. I can use Minecraft to get the slot locations of every item, but I need to use Win32 API to be able to click them out of the chest. So I need to find a way to turn chest slots into screen coordinates, and that's gonna be my first task. I'm gonna do it properly this time, not like in my last few videos. So I'm gonna get one single inventory position, and then I'm just gonna offset it by a certain amount to find every other inventory position since everything is in a grid. And for that, I'm gonna use Paint. So I'm gonna get the offset distance in Paint and then just make an array out of it. Now I just need the first slot position and the number of rows. Basically, this only takes the first inventory slot and then generates the rest of the inventory. Afterwards, I can just match the inventory positions with the chest slot positions, so that way my script will know where to click. I did one for the chest inventory and one for my inventory so that we can see that it actually works. Let me just clear this weather real quick. And I created gayness. Shaders look really nice though. And now to give a more visual example, let me just shift click every item out of a chest. Okay. In Skywars, I'm not gonna need every single item, and I want my inventory to be clean as well, so I'm only gonna pick up blocks, projectiles, a weapon, a rod, and armor. Usually I have my sword on 1, rod on 4, projectiles on 8, blocks on 9, and armor equipped. So I need my script to do that and also automatically equip the best weapon and the best armor. I also need to figure out which weapon is better based on material type and enchantment. For this, I'll just use the in-game attack damage and apply a sharpness formula. By the way, why is a gold sword weaker than a stone sword? And so I made a dictionary with every sword attack damage, and I made it scan my inventory as well as the chest to see which one was the best sword. Then it would always move it to slot number 1, and if it was already the best, then it wouldn't swap anything. Then I went experimenting on Hypixel to see what sorts of items they have in the chest so I know how to prepare my script. And then I ended up accidentally winning a game, but that's beside the point. I saw some general armor, stone swords, and iron swords, and when it comes to
Huh, I guess it actually is a string. Um. You know, maybe just this works. And it works. Or like a begin. I don't think it would work because mm, The courtesan doesn't work. I don't know. Why am I seeing these files? Hmm. What is it? Git pull origin v2 force. Get some lunch. Maybe some programming later.